Yochanan chapter 4. Now my first reader read Yochanan 4, 1 through 5, please.
When, when therefore Adonai knew how the Pharisees had heard that Yeshua made and baptized more disciples than John, though Yeshua himself baptized not but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph.
Okay. Here we are. We have Yahushua, just as in verse 3, Yochanan was bearing, in chapter 3, Yochanan was bearing witness that, he must decrease while the Messiah increase. Here we see a picture of Yahushua increasing, and it says, when therefore Adonai knew the Pharisees had heard that Yahushua made and baptized more disciples than Yochanan, even though Yahushua himself baptized not but his disciples, he left Judea and departed into Galilee. Okay, and it says he must needs go through Samaria. Then come up to a city of Samaria which is called Sychar, or Sukar, if you would, number 4965, meaning drunken. Now this city is believed to be the same as Shechem. There's some debate about it. Some people say yes, Shechem. Some people say it isn't. But most people tend to lean towards it being Shechem, the same as Shechem in the Old Testament. Samaria was betwixt Judea and Galilee. This is why Yochanan says in verse 4 that Yah had to go through Samaria. Now we must understand the history of Samaria and its demographics, and for to properly understand what the Ruach HaKodesh is doing within this chapter, what it's trying to teach us in this chapter, we have to get a little background on Samaria. So, that being said, Samaria was, of course, the capital of Israel, that is the 10 northern tribes, and represented a region more than a single city, kind of like when people travel off somewhere and they ask them where they're from, and they're from here, most people will say Detroit, even though they don't actually live in Detroit. They may live in Farmington or Bloomfield or where have you, one of the suburbs, but they'll still say Detroit because it's all included in like metropolitan Detroit. Well, it's kind of the same way with Samaria. There was other cities surrounding this region, but it was all considered Samaria. So it was kind of like a region in and of itself, almost like, a little country with a bunch of city-states, or something to that effect. Anyway, that being said, there will come a time that Israel will be disinherited from Samaria. We read about this in 2 Kings 17:22, but before we go there, I think it's important to also say that Samaria had kind of became synonymous with Israel. The Israelites, they would also call themselves Samaritans, seeing that Samaria was their capital, and the term Samaria had kind of became synonymous with the Israelite nation, and that's kind of important to understand that too, because some of the times, it speaks of Samaritans, it could actually be speaking of one of the Israelites, one of the remnant that was left in the land. That being said, 2 Kings 17:22 through 24 teaches us when they were disinherited. It says, "For the children of Israel walked in the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, and they departed not from them." We went over this thoroughly, concerning the sins of Jeroboam in the book of Hosea, did we not? In verse 23 says, "Until Yahuwah removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets," because they were the idolatrous practices that was going on in the land. He removed Israel out of his sight. It says, so was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava, or Eva, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. Notice it says in the cities of Samaria, pointing to it being a region, not just a city. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Okay, so now we have these Gentiles in Samaria. Everybody picking up on that, right? Okay. Hereby we learn that Samaria was inhabited by the Gentiles, that is, those of Babylon, which means confusion. Kutha means crushing. Eva means ruin. Hamath means fortress or wall. Sepharvaim means two books or scribes. These are the people that inhabited the land, during the time that the Messiah walked through. But undoubtedly, there was a remnant of Israel, just as we seen when Yah disinherited Yahudah, he left a remnant of Yahudim in the land as well. Brother Jory?
A lot of scholars believe that the Sepharvaim is the origin of the word Sephardic, the Sephardic Jews of today, which are about 10% or so of the Jewish people, and the other 90% Ashkenazic.
Okay. That's good to know. That points to the remnant being there as well. And Sepharvaim actually means two books or scribes. Okay. Continuing on in 2 Kings 25 through 29, it says, and so it was the beginning of their dwelling there, that they feared not Yahuwah. So here it is, we have this picture. Yah ejects them from the land because of their idolatrous practices. So he evicts them, essentially from the land of Samaria. And the peoples that the king put in their place, they didn't fear Yahuwah. So verse 25, 2 Kings 17:25 says, therefore Yahuwah sent lions among them, which slew some of them. So he sent lions, and they began to slay the people. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of Elohim of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of Elohim of the land. So, Yah was insisting, he was letting all the nations of the world know that, that they didn't displace his people, that he displaced his people. And whoever was going to be in that land had to acknowledge him. Verse 27, then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the Elohim of the land. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahuwah. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. Now, the priests that was sent there not only taught them the manner of Elohim, but proselytized them into the commonwealth of Israel, because that is the manner of Elohim. There, was likely a remnant of Israelites, such as Brother Jory pointed out, the Sepharvaim, was likely Sephardic Jews. Okay, so there was some left there or migrated back there. Hence, we read the Samaritans claiming the heritage of Yaakov even later in this chapter. Yochanan 4:6 says, now Yaakov's well was there. Yahushua, therefore, being weary with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Now, with this in mind, let us consider the spiritual picture that the word of Elohim is painting for us. On the most part, we have a group of people who claim to be Israel, taught to serve Israel, the Elohim of Israel, taught to live as Israel, and living within the land of Israel, yet refusing to become Israel. Now, the land of Israel, spiritually speaking, could refer to the body of Israel. So just think about this. you know, because Ephraim, you know, was the most abundant tribe, you know, so, you know, Israel, there's, you know, they made up the bulk of Israel, you know, saying that they were 10 tribes, you know, it was a lot of them. But this is the picture that the scriptures is pointing out to us, that, you know, they were a group of people, you know, they were mixed, you know, but they all claimed to be Israel. They all were taught to serve Elohim of Israel, taught to live as Israel, and living within the land of Israel, which the land can speak to the body, yet refusing to become Israel. Does that not sound like, you know, a whole lot of folks now today?
Yeah.
You know, who claim to be Israel? They're taught to serve Israel, but, you know, they refuse to become Israel in reality, you know, i.e. they refuse to be a man that wrestles with good and evil and prevails by holding on to that which is good, or Elohim. You know, like these people, they had their other gods that they wanted to serve as well. You know, even as nowadays we see people serving Elohim and serving Mammon, even though, you know, Yahweh would present before them the you know, tell them choose this day whom you will serve, you know, and tell them that, you know, can't serve both. Many of them still do.
Yeah.
You know, so we see even in Revelation, speaking of the Laodiceans, who are neither hot nor cold, but lukewarm, you know, that mixture again, you know, and Yah says because they are, that he will spew them out of his mouth. Okay, you know, but let's just review the prophecy that Yaakov, since they're at Yaakov as well, that Yaakov spoke concerning Ephraim, or Joseph, which is there in the house of Joseph. Joseph is a fruitful bowl, even a fruitful bowl by a well, whose branches run over the wall. You know, that could actually speak to them turning out of the way. Because a wall is there for what? As a boundary, you know, to keep something in or to keep something out. You know, when you go over the wall, you're defeating the purpose of the wall. You know, whether it's to keep you in or to keep you out, you go over the wall, you're defeating that purpose. So, you know, it says that whose branches run over the wall. So they ran over the perimeter or border that Yah has set for them. You know, now it says the archers have sorely grieved them and shot at them and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty Elohim of Yaakov. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. We know who that is. Amen. Even by the Elohim of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast, and blessings of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors. Unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, they shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. And of course, we know that this was fulfilled. They were separated from their brethren. They were, as we just read in Kings, they were dispersed.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Joy.
It's also interesting to note that verse 1 in this chapter says that these prophecies would be fulfilled in the latter days. Because the common teaching is that all these prophecies were fulfilled in Old Testament times and over and done with, and then all these tribes all amalgamated into one tribe. But the verse 1 is saying that the listing of all the blessings of the individual tribes would be fulfilled in the latter days of the time that we're now living in, showing that the tribes would be separate in the latter days, or else they couldn't fulfill their individual destinies in all these prophecies. Interesting to contemplate.
Yes.
Yah
yes.
knows who they are and where they are in the world. They're not all the Jewish people, that's for sure.
Amen to that. Yes. Yes. Yah definitely knows where they are. And we even see him reaching out to them today. Well, we spoke, well, we can consider that, you know, Yah, he actually rested there, you know, so, you know, that means something. I don't exactly know what, you know. I contemplated it, y'all didn't give it to me, but I know it means something. The 6th hour to speak to, you know, the hour of man, you know, being around about the time that Yah will go through his passion in a couple years, you know. And the land that was spoken of was the land that Yaakov purchased in Genesis 33. 33, 18 and 19. It says, and Yaakov came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, and he brought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And of course, we know this is the place where Dinah was raped, you know, and we went into the symbolism involved there, and it really fits what ended up happening in this land. You know, this land would later be inherited by Ephraim, which indeed lived up to his name. Ephraim became very fruitful. You know, it was a bunch of them, and as we read, they went over the wall. So the prophecies, you know, came true as always. You know, Yah's word is true. Isaiah 28, 1 through 3 says, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim. You know, they lived up to their name. They were abundantly fruitful, and they began to drink of their of that fruit. You know, and from fruit they made wine. You know, and they even as the city Shekar meant drunken. We see in Isaiah 28, 1 through 3, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. Behold, the Adonai have a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet. And truly they were. We see that in 1 Kings 17 that we read. Yochanan 4:7, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua saith unto her, give me drink. You know, so here it is. We have one of these Samaritan women, one of these women that was taught to worship Elohim and serve Elohim, and done, and for all intents and purposes, looked like an Israelite, but just refused to hold on to Elohim, you know, because they want to serve Elohim and other gods as well, even as Israel did in Bethel and Dan. They served Elohim, but they served idols and all kind of other stuff too, you know. But consider this, Yahushua is coming to her and asking her to give him something to drink, you know. Samaria means watch mountain. You know, mountain is symbolic in the scriptures of a nation. So this is like Samaria was meant to be a nation of watchers, if you would. Matthew 25, 34 through 40 says, then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Adonai, when saw we and hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Now, praise Yah for this woman. She had an opportunity to actually get a Messiah something to drink. You know, and Yah would say, you know, you help a prophet, you receive a prophet's reward. You know, wow, you help Elohim himself. Hallelujah. You know, but Yahushua went to what was supposed to be a nation watching for his coming, which had become a land of drunkards. Yet he still loved them and offered them too an opportunity to serve him instead of their hard taskmaster. And this is what he does for us now today. You know, even though we're just like those Samaritans.